day one of the Palm Beach Boat Show 2025, and we somehow found this lovely terrace on Sea Dock, and it happened to be from Feadship. And then we found Farouk. Farouk, for the few people that don't know you, would you mind introducing yourself?
My name is Farouk Nefzi. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Feadship, and it's lovely to be here. I think Palm Beach Boat Show is literally the premier show for us as an industry.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I want to really dive into that deeply.
Yeah, sure.
Because like, he's the CMO of Feadship, I'm the CMO of YATCO. So we're probably going to talk a little bit about brand and marketing as well, and just like
most welcome.
The fun stuff that goes with it. But first, like, we're both marketeers.
Yeah.
And we all know it's all about the story, the why, the narrative, the feeling behind it. What's this Feadship story, if you had to describe it?
I think if you're going to tell the Feadship story, you can't avoid its history, its legacy, if you will, which is already in the name.
Yeah.
And it's all about family values. If you dig deep down where they originate from, they are literally family companies that evolved into working together, basically made the name Feadship what it is today. And for those that don't know, the name Feadship is an acronym. It stands for this collaboration of those yacht builders that started collaborating just after World War II.
Okay.
Because after World War II, several yacht builders and a naval architecture firm, they couldn't sell anymore to Europe because Europe, especially Holland, it needed to be built up again.
Yeah.
And so they said, okay, why don't we collaborate? We build a yacht and we try to sell it to the American market, where the aristocrats still lived. And that's how it all started in 1949. And they built the first yacht, brought it to the New York Boat Show, and from there it hit it off. So the name Feadship is an acronym, and it stands for First Export Association of Dutch Shipbuilders.
Really? I didn't know that.
So this is where we come from. And the families that are owning Feadship, Royal Van Lent and Koninklijke de Vries, they still carry those family values in the way they embrace their employees, empower people that are working for Feadship, and the level of respect that we have all together for the specialisms that are inside. And we're all colleagues, but we're also in a way a little community whereby we all in this together.
And I think I recognize that as one of the foundations of the yachting, especially the super yacht industry, right? We are such a niche market that you cannot look at it any different than as from family perspective.
Yes. Well, everybody, most of the time, if you want to believe the non-yachting media, it's so product oriented. It's all about the luxury lifestyle. It's all about the product orientation, the glitter and the glamour, if you will, the stigmatization, the ultra high net worth. But if you dig deep down to what we're actually selling, it's way more than that.
It's beyond.
We are selling quality time. We are selling ease of mind and a form of escapism that is representing much more. The cacophonous lives our clients live in, they build enormous conglomerates. And this is their comfort zone, where they can cocoon with family and friends, be away from all that cacophony. It is the de-stressing factor of what we are all about. And yes, it translates into this tangible thing that's called a yacht. But the deeper emotion behind that, that's what we are doing all together. We're catering to that.
Yeah. Is that what you experience from owners and potential owners, that's what they're looking for, that cocooning, that safe haven, that feeling of, well, because people always say it's a lifestyle. I do not dig that. I don't think I think for some people it is, but I think for a lot of people, I agree with you. It is like getting away from the ordinary, right?
Yeah. Well, in our case, when potential clients approach us, it literally starts with all the questions of why are you doing this?
Yeah.
What do you want to do with it? What do you want to achieve? And then when they start to summarize what they want to get out of it, it results into this design that we cater to. But it originates from being together, enjoying life at sea, enjoying the nature and elements, being cocooning with each other. All of that translate themselves in lines and shapes, in materials, and so on.
But that's the operational phase.
No, what I mean to say is that they have this need that we are trying to cater to.
Exactly.
And that need is translated.
Exactly.
And so our clients come for that, but at the same time, of course, we are Feadship, and we try to abide by this principle, is that we don't only want to build something that doesn't exist yet, but we also want to be a progressive, innovative company that also delivers the best there is in the market. So we have the dream, we have the intrinsic value of that dream, and which is essentially coming down to freedom and escapism.
Yes.
And the value proposition that comes forth out of Feadship. Did you know that Feadship last year won the Best Investment Award in this industry by Superyacht Investor? Mm-hmm. That is what I mean with a value proposition.
Yeah.
So investing in a Feadship not only gives you quality time, but it's also a certain secure way of investing.
Because that's quite out of the ordinary, because obviously yachting is normally seen as, it is about the freedom and the escapism, but it's also a cost factor.
Of course.
But you're saying that a Feadship now is also seen as an investable feature.
Yes, well, we got the award last year.
Yeah.
And if you look at most Feadships, the first few years after being delivered, most of the time they very, very well maintain their value, even increasing in that, and they have the least depreciation value.
Okay. Can I move away from that part? Because not that I don't find it interesting, but you said a few things previously that I really want to dig into deeper.
Yeah.
So we're talking about these family values that Feadship has, that also it applies for how they look after their employees, how they conduct their business, how they look after people. Do you feel that in our industry those values are always met? Do you feel that that is what we should do? Because I'll tell you this, I personally very much believe in that we're a great industry with great people. We try to look after the local economies, we try to give back where we take, but I feel that with that strong values that Feadship has, is that something that you guys look after as well, that you want to do?
So the only way I can answer that is sometimes not everybody sees what you're really all doing all together.
Yeah.
But I 100% believe in the genuine intention of what we're trying to do. Mm-hmm. So if I look at my bosses, for instance, Henk de Vries and Jan Bart Verkel, two CEOs of the two different shareholders, and the way they translate whatever we stand for, they are really putting practice into what they're preaching.
Yeah.
And how it translates is, we set up, for instance, Water Revolution Foundation, whereby the quality of innovation in, for instance, sustainability, we could have done that also by ourselves. We could have chosen the path of trying to be innovative and take the lead and try to be outstanding in that.
Yeah.
The other road was to, how can we stimulate each other to really do better? Mm-hmm. And we chose that path. The chairman of Water Revolution Foundation is Henk de Vries.
Yes.
And we're now a few years down the line, and look what we are achieving together as an industry to make a difference.
Well, that's what it means.
So I think this is just one example.
Yes, but you're such a big company that you are probably one of the companies that has to lead by that example and make sure that you bring the industry together in that perspective. Do you feel, is that part of
we are? Yes, we were involved in setting up Cybas.
Yeah.
We are involved in setting Water Revolution Foundation. We are involved in the Superyacht Life Foundation. And then all the little initiatives, sponsorships, all the beautiful examples out there that are taking care of the environment, whether we're enabling our fleet or where we are making sure that crew and us are working well together to facilitate that. We have just, we were part and are still part, actually I'm the chairman of the Honors, which is a program to highlight what all the owners are doing to make a difference, because nobody sees that.
Exactly.
Seakeeper Society is an initiative which is beautiful if you see what the extent of what we're all trying to do. Blue Marine Foundation, we used to sponsor that. So there are so many examples to mention, but I don't think it is our task to wave the flag of what you're doing to make a difference, because I think it's also a cheap way of selling. Because you simply need to
You need to be humble sometimes.
Yes, especially with these things.
I mean, okay, we need to be humble in the industry anyway, because we live by the grace of the fact that there are people that want to buy these amazing vessels.
Yes.
And want to charter these amazing vessels, and they give us the lifestyle that we have. But yeah, so I wasn't asking like just to hear you brag about all the great things you do. I'm just trying to find out, like, because that leads me into the next thing I'm interested in, is like, it's interesting to talk to people that work in leading companies, and I would say that Feadship is a leading company in our industry, and to see like, because I know there's a lot of people that are starting a company, there's a lot of crew members on board that are thinking of moving on shore and doing something, and I want them to listen to these conversations and be like, okay, what can I take out of that from people that have done this for, well, you've been with Feadship now for 11 years
now,
and it was founded in 1949. What can I learn from this? If whether I'm going to build a ship or whether I'm going to do something else with my life, but what can I take away from this conversation? And I think what I'm trying to give them now with you, with your experience, is like, you're just trying to do something really, really well. Like you said, like we do that really well with our potential buyers. We go through the whole process to make sure that we give them a quality product. It's an investable product that's interesting. But also like, you need to look after the industry, you need to look after the people in the industry. I think that's what you're trying to tell me.
Yes, well, there are other examples that I can mention. First of all, you mentioned that we are a leading company. I think a lot of brands in this industry are leading in their own space. Everybody has a niche, everybody's catering to a persona of clients. And so there's a lot of diversification in the industry. And thank you for giving us that credit, but we have to also be humble at the same time. We are, at the moment, we're delivering a hydrogen Feadship. That technology is a collaborative effort from this industry to make that possible with something that has been able to be created because there are wonderful owners that are willing to facilitate that progressive nature of this industry. That is going to be technology that is going to be shared and be used by everybody.
Because so many parties are involved, that's what you're saying.
Yes, and we want it to be a technology to be embraced by everybody, so that everybody can learn from it. And together we evolve. So this is the mindset, I think, what this industry and the whole supply chain that comes along with that is really creating. And I think that is something that this industry, because you started with one of the very first question, what type of industry are we? You know, how does family fit into this? If you look at this industry and what we have in common, all of us, everybody, no distinction, is that we are not often seen as an industry that has a huge economic impact. Not only direct economic impact, but also an indirect economic impact.
Massively.
And that is not always seen in the right manner. Because that economic impact also translates in investment in innovation.
Totally.
That the greater maritime industry can profit from. And all of that is simply, I think, something that is not always highlighted enough, and it's something that makes us different than many other industries, because everybody looks only at the element of opulence and luxury and ultra high net worth and so on.
Well, that's only a very tiny part of our industry. Okay, they are the owners of these vessels and they charter these vessels, but in the end, you and I are just doing a job like anybody else, but we do it in an industry that we very much enjoy.
Yes, but I differ in opinion on that.
Okay, let's go for that.
Okay, what is the essential difference? Someone buying a 12-foot yacht, a dinghy,
Yeah.
or a 120 meter. There's a big difference in complexity and investment value and so on. But if you look at pleasure and what it means to someone, because it's so subjective, that is, I think, the essence of our yachting industry. It is so broad and it's so diverse. It's all about being on the water, and it's all about enjoying the elements of nature that is surrounding us. And that could be different for everybody, but still we're catering to
But
that.
is that true? I mean, I'm going to challenge you a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I feel that you can have that. Okay, I hear you.
Yeah.
We can say that someone that buys a dinghy can be as happy with the dinghy as someone that buys a super yacht.
Yeah.
I could even claim that someone that buys a dinghy really loves the water, and someone who buys a super yacht and is just looking for
I will
the
give you an
freedom.
example. I'm going to give you
Yeah.
an exact example of that. So we have done one story based on many stories that are out there.
Yeah.
From an owner's perspective. This story is called Perito. You have to watch it. It's a Feadship cinematic film.
Okay, I'll have a look at it.
Yeah? And it's the story of a young boy that has great memories, that ultimately this boy has built a super yacht for himself.
Yeah.
But his memories, and his most beautiful, cherished memories, they relate back to when he was just a little young boy, 10 years old, and he was always sailing out on a rowing boat
Yeah.
with his father. And they were enjoying moments of
Exactly.
fishing and doing elementary stuff. But that is what he relates to. And that little rowing boat is called Perito because his father always called him Perito. And he named his super yacht Perito.
Yeah.
So there's a direct link in the value, the emotional value that we give to the elementary things. I don't want to call them small boats or because they have great value. And the big stuff that you're seeing out here.
Listen, I know.
Do I make sense?
You make total sense, because we also know that some people just prefer to buy a smaller boat. Why? Because they just enjoy it.
Yes.
They don't necessarily need something big. I do find, and because that's one of the things that people say about our industry, right? Is do people actually buy these vessels because they like those vessels, or because they want to show their money? I think it will probably be a bit of both.
I know. I'm going to give you also a very straightforward answer to
Yeah,
that.
go for it.
None of our clients want exposure value.
And that was the answer I was looking for.
None of them.
Exactly.
Not one example that I can think of at the moment that is out there. We all sign very, very stringent confidentiality agreements with our clients.
Yeah.
We make good, solid agreements about not waving the flag too much, not mentioning who the owner is, and so on. Because it's not what they do it for. Not at all. Most of the time, they keep that very, very private.
I know, I'm with you. But that's how the outside of the industry, with some of the reality shows, the way things are portrayed,
Yeah.
obviously, whatever happens.
So where does that stop? So
Yeah.
when you buy an art piece that is costing 100 million, when you buy a luxury car, do you think the car manufacturer is going to wave the flag? You saw who bought this?
No.
It's first of all, it's forbidden. It's
Yes.
privacy law.
Exactly.
Second, you don't see that everywhere. The people that are doing that are the ones that are doing that themselves. People that have possession of something
And what
that
is-
are waving the flag themselves.
Exactly.
That I can agree with you. But other than that, the way we see them, no example of that.
I'm with you, but it's very important. That's why we're having these conversations
Yeah.
and going a layer deeper than you would normally go, is because I very much feel that not everybody outside of the industry has the right perception of our industry. This industry is people that actually, that love their boats, and we're all working. I mean, those crew on those vessels, they work really hard to do a stellar job in making sure that the vessel is well maintained, that the safety on board is well maintained, and that they take great care of the guests on board. But
Yeah.
it's also for all the supplying companies that look after the vessel and look after the people, and these boat shows, because then like we're stepping down to, we're now at the Palm Beach Boat Show. You
Yes.
said, well, you were quite fond of the show, I believe that you said in the beginning.
Well, okay, what do you have? There are many boat shows, first
Many.
of all. But in our segment,
Yeah.
probably you have the Miami Boat Show, Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, and the Palm Beach Boat Show. I think those are the most featured shows here in the US.
Yeah, in the US, yeah.
I'm not talking about the Monacos of this world or the Cannes Yacht Festival
Yeah.
and so on. I'm talking about US based.
Yeah.
If you look at the Miami Boat Show, it's catering to a different type of crowd. It's focused on Latin American. It's more lifestyle. It's Canadian, international crowd.
Yeah.
Up to, I think, 45 meters.
Yeah.
Something
Very
like
much
that.
So, very much so.
So for us, that's already something that we don't fit anymore
No.
in anymore. Then you have Fort Lauderdale and Palm Beach.
Yeah.
So those are the two shows that we are featuring well in. So Fort Lauderdale, we have our office there.
Yeah.
And we still have boats that come in, and it still provides quality visitors. But this is a very relaxed show.
So.
It is quality over quantity. And we like the vibe. As you can see here, we have a little island. It's quiet, it's tranquil, and you have decent conversation like we're having now.
Well, you have time for it, and that's what I like about this show. You have
Yes.
time for each other.
Well, we made time for it.
Well, you made time for it. He came running back because he was so kind to just run back and sit down with me, thinking I'll be done in 5 minutes, and now we're still talking. So that's just what it is. No, but it's true. And what I like about as well, this show has been grown quite a lot in the past few years, but also Palm Beach on its own.
Yeah.
Palm Beach, West Palm Beach is becoming it's becoming a real yachting hub.
Yes, you can see that in the traffic chaos.
Oh my gosh, it is. And can you imagine that like more and more companies from New York are moving down to this area to set up, and like, well, we're not even talking about the zip code on the islands,
Yes.
which is like beautiful.
Yeah. It's a very good concentration of
It's a very good concentration.
good clientele.
Good. To end this off,
Yes.
if you would CMO of Feadship, if you would give any entrepreneur, young entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur the tip on if you want to market your company in the superyacht industry, this niche industry,
Yeah.
what would you do or what would you not do?
I think, as a professional, I have to say, the biggest thing people do is they say, I have to market myself. I need to make a brochure, a website, I need this, I need that, and I need that. The question they should ask themselves is, who am I? What is my DNA? What am I selling? What is the value proposition? How do I want to come across as a brand? And who am I catering to? So who is your target group?
Yeah.
Because that's basically what is going to define what marketing instruments you need. Because maybe you don't need a printed brochure, or maybe you don't even need an Instagram account. You need maybe other instruments.
Well, you also need to look at what your strengths are.
So if you are able to define your DNA, and you know who you are, and you know what your value proposition is, you're able to distinguish yourself from all the cacophony of everybody shouting and waving the flag. Because you have to find your own niche. And if you know your own niche, because you know the persona that you're reaching out to, you can have a campaign that is so much more targeted. Because in today's world, especially with the elements of AI, hyper-personalized marketing is around the corner. And you're able to do that, to not only reach, but actually touch the people and make them get goosebumps whenever they are engaging with your brand.
Hyper-personalized marketing. That's the key word that I took from that.
Definitely.
Love that. Thank you so much, Farouk. Pleasure. Thank you for having us here.
Thank you.